Today we're going to start a new series where we talk about nonverbal communication. Today I'm going to break down the different types of communication, how much each one impacts us, and the 3 C's that go into nonverbal communication when we are talking to people. Really, when it comes to communication, there's a lot of people who think that what you say is the majority of the communication that comes across, and that's just not true. What's important to realize is that out of everything that's said and every conversation you have, every interaction that you have, only about 7% is verbal. Only about 7% is what is said, right? The big difference is that about 55% of the interaction is body language. It's how you're speaking to the person. It's how you're positioning yourself. It's your spatial awareness between yourself and the other person, what your arms are doing, what your legs are doing, and we're going to talk about all that kind of stuff as we go on. But about 55% is what your body does. About 38% is tone, right? So how you're saying something. If you're saying "have a good day" versus you're saying "have a good day," the difference is huge, right? And it's not just the words; it's the actual tone of the message, right? So first thing I want to talk about is in nonverbal communication, we have to understand that 93% of what is said is nonverbal, right? It's the body language and how it's said. Only 7% roughly is what is said. So number one is the most important thing to understand. The second thing I want to talk about today is that there are 3 C's when it comes to understanding nonverbal communication, being successful in this. The first C is context. The second C is clusters. And the third C is congruence, right? So what I mean by all 3 of these, number one, context, is we have to understand the context of what's being said, right? We have to understand the context between situational environment. So the situation that the person's in when they're talking about these things, the history between the people, the individual roles, boss, employee, all that kind of stuff. We have to understand the context. How a boss is talking to an employee is going to differentiate between their roles with each other, their history with each other, all that kind of stuff. So context is number one. We can't go in blind and just assume that everything that we see applies to the entire population, right? Every rule of nonverbal applies to the population. It just doesn't. We need context. Number 2, clusters. So nonverbal communication comes in clusters. There are going to be things that are going to be rapid fire, multiple things that impact or mean the same thing that we have to watch out for. All right. So an example of this is when someone's talking, if they're fidgety, right? They can't quite sit still. They keep nodding at really at the same time. That could be a sign of anxiety. Or alternatively, if someone is twisting their torso around away from a conversation, but their feet are staying firmly planted forward, that could be that the cluster isn't quite there, right? Their body language on their body says they have to go, but their feet say they're still interested in what you're saying. So cluster is number 2, and number 3 is congruence, right? So spoken word, tone, and body language all kind of have to make sense, or else something's weird, right? If someone's talking about something and their tone or their body language is so different, right? So they're talking about like something pleasant or something enjoyable, and their body language, like the actual physicality, and their tone just comes off as angry. It doesn't make a lot of sense, right? So those are the 3 C's, right? So what I wanted to do today is I basically just wanted to talk about the very high level stuff. We're going to build on this, but the very high level stuff for body language. Okay. Again, summarized everything. Number 1, body language is roughly 93% nonverbal. Name of the channel. 7% what is spoken. 55% body language. 38% how it's said. Tone. When we're talking about body language, we need 3 things to make body language accurate: context, clusters, congruence. Stick around, guys. We're going to talk about this stuff a lot more. If you're not subscribed already, hit the button, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you're notified when I have new videos come out. And I'm going to send out body language videos throughout the lifespan of the channel. I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know. Hit comments. Thanks.